Now then, just having some fun with this. Need to wind back the clock. This is Andalucia data from 2024. Michael Murphy is the writer, and God help Michael, he had airlock in his radiator and only made it out for a handful of sessions. And for 3 of those sessions, then he has shown massive time improvements. They're highlighted here in the corner. So he's gone from 213 down to a 208. So very tidy riding, and obviously didn't clock half as many laps as the rest of the people that he was out with. Just want to highlight straight away that the yellow lap consistently loses time, right? But it is where he started. So you can see big differences in the braking speed, all right, the arrival speed here as well. So getting on the gas early made more speed than just hitting the brakes too early on the yellow lap. But that's good because it's basically learning the lap. You know, the kind of way we all need to learn where we're going. Likewise here. So the yellow lap can be basically binned off. But before I do that, I just want to see if there's any theoretical lap times worth looking at. 212 there. Best theoretical down here on the silver is 206. So that's pretty fast. That's the third fastest lap that I have logged in Andalucia, I think. I'm nearly certain of that. Second of which being Marco Byrne. And then recently a friend of mine gave me a lap, which didn't happen on this session. So perhaps, you know, it doesn't count. So the silver straight line down the bottom is the fastest lap at 208. And because it's the fastest lap, it represents a straight line for the track distance ridden. The green lap took longer, so the line has to wiggle about to fit in the same space. All right, that makes sense. So that point there is where the green lap started to really lose a lot of time. And you can see then that it's apex speeds, it's braking markers and apex speeds, right? I'm not concerned with that. On this lap, there was coming down the back straight into the hairpin, it's the braking marker into a lower apex speed, but that gave him a better drive out. And it's this drive out which actually gained back some time. So there is actually some useful stuff to come from this. So right now the time deficit is 3.5. And then by the time that section is finished with the momentum carried, that time comes down to 2.9, which is a half a second gained going into turn 1. So that's all just because of, if I dare say, coming into the last hairpin, right? Just going to click on this braking marker. We're going to follow the green guy and see what he did. So even though we're slightly to the inside of the track, we're coming along. You see the rider then. Green lap, if you look at the top of the screen, carrying 5k extra. But runs deep, gets the bike turned, clip the curb on the way back, boom, fire it out of there. Look at the GPS speed, 7k more. So on the silver lap, you could say that it was ridden like an old 250 or a junior super sport rider or Moto 3, where you just knock it on its edge and roll around the corner. But then the green lap capitalizes on an elliptical shape in the corner, which is like an egg. And that means then the bike spends more time upright, utilizing the throttle. If I then analyze the braking zone coming into the final hairpin, just want to check out this channel here. We have a channel called Brake G, right? And the maximum G reached, this is also why the green lap was gaining some time. Maximum G-force reached on the green lap is a staggering minus 1.37 G. Doesn't have a minus symbol there, but it is minus. So that is colossal braking power. On the silver lap itself, it was only negative 1.13. So that is some savage braking forces. The last thing I want to look at is just to try and find out where the maximum lean angle is achieved on the racetrack, which is this guy down here, and it appears to be on the silver lap right down in here. So we can have a look at this now. I've got one more fun thing coming up after I get this one nailed. So lean angle on the silver lap then is 58.5. 58.5. That is very respectful. If I'm doing calculations, I will always aim for a target of 58 degrees. So as well as that, there's not a lot of camber on some of these corners. Let's find out where that was actually achieved. If I go back to my GPS, where is he? So that's turn 3, 4, 5, turn 6. Turn 6, down the hill. Hit the drain, knock it left, and fire it on out of there. So that's some pretty impressive lean angles. Just want to check the consistency as well. So 45, pretty much 45, 50 on the green lap, 45, 47, same again, 45, 47. And if I just want to check then on the opposite side of the corners, we're seeing similar values. What I'm actually looking for there is that the rider has consistency both left and right. But definitely we can all argue there that Mick enjoys turn 6 in Andalucia the most, because you can clearly see the confidence here. Just want to say then that the hallmark of a really good rider is that they're either accelerating or they're braking. And you can see here clearly that apart from this little bobble, there was obviously momentary brake and traction. If I zoom out, momentary brake and traction, but for the most part, that is very tidy. You know, we're either going forwards or we're stopping, you know, so this is really nice stuff here. I haven't delved into the information too much to figure out what's going on here. It perhaps looks like there's a little bit of on off the gas, carry on going into the corner, or that type of thing. But this, again, I'm not too worried because I know the lap time is very respectful. But definitely for the last half a lap from here to there, you can see how it's literally very clinical. I'm either going or I'm stopping. The biggest coast on the lap, I'm going to start picking on people for this, is basically we're starting here with a total coasting of 8 meters, and in Andalucia, at this point in the track, which is going into the final hairpin, I believe, that's forgivable. The biggest point of coasting then, just over that, this is the brakes into the final hairpin. So Mick starts out with 9 and ends up with 30. So there's 20 meters of coasting before the brakes are slammed going into that final hairpin. Shouldn't really use the word slammed because we don't really slam on the brakes, you know, the kind of way, because that'll cause a lockup. But it's the only one that's on there because the other ones are only starting with 2 meters of coasting, and then this one here, it only goes up to 8. So that was a 6 meter coast there, which is not too concerning. Even this is not too concerning because I've seen as many as 100 meters coasting. Even last weekend, as many as 150 meters of coasting. So, you know, I'm not going to get too picky about 20, but if you wanted to attack something, that would be it. Before I go any further, I'll just say apologies. I believe Mick's actually on an R6 because when I see big gaps in the achievable speeds, especially down the back straights and stuff like that, clearly he is outgunned. So that makes the 208 lap actually even more special. So that's pretty good. So therefore, all I can do is look at some apex speeds. I've loaded 2 more laps in here. I've got Mark O'Byrne flying around doing a 204.7, and I've got a lap on a Fireblade 201.7. The Fireblade is an unknown rider. So this apex here, the Fireblade has done a shocking job of this apex. You can clearly see that when you zoom in and pan across, that there is a big difference, and that is a difference both in Mark's lap and Mike Murphy's map. So that's around corner 5. It's the right-hander. So let's see what the boys are doing. There's nothing in it in terms of line. So I'm going to say both the lads are doing well. There was just rapid corner speed held by the yellow guy. And it is literally a difference of 13k an hour of extra speed just going in there. So that's pretty good. It'd be interesting to see where he picked up the gas. I just want to also see if I click. This is meant to be a study of Mick. Mick is on the same line as that guy. In this case, if I go to Mark, Mark is the inside pip down here. So I know Mark was leading a lot of riders around as well. So perhaps, you know, a deliberate decision to avoid somebody or do something like that is the reason for that. So I'm not going to get too carried away. This is quite different here. Big difference in corner speed between Mick in silver and both Mark and the Fireblade. So what I'm going to do is, if the Fireblade is the fastest guy out there, I'll just temporarily take away Mark's lap and just have a look at this corner speed here. So this is the final of the 3 lefts in Andalucia. This is Navarro, by the way. Just in terms of apex speed as a target goes, I just want to see, literally it's 10k. So that's one place that Mick could capitalize on to do a little bit better. And then just the last one as well, that is turn 1. It's at the end of this lap here because the start finish straight was actually in a different place on the logger. And that is a GPS speed of 12 in difference. So just 3 little things to keep in mind, that there was plenty of meat on the bone, and I'm fully aware that Mick never even got momentum because it was literally 1 session a day. Radiator's bad, better service the bike and then get out again the next day. So either way, good riding and good to see exactly, you know, what you could have made of it. What I do need to compliment immediately is that there are areas such as that where you are identical to a guy on a 201 lap. Look at that. 71 for 71. That is the bottom section of the corner, right hand before you get into this little awkward left. So, you know, very good riding. Well done.